Thank you very much for accepting my interview request. And welcome here in Groningen in the Vera.
Thank you.
It's an honor and a pleasure to meet you, finally. I listened a lot to your music, and I read a lot, especially the last week, I think, about you and the trio. Well, you studied at the Norwegian Academy of Music in Oslo. Can you please tell me what you learned there the most, what is still valuable for you today? And did you have special teachers maybe and mentors, and who were they and what did they give to you?
Even though I went to the Norwegian Academy of Music, I think my development as a musician took many years, because before I didn't start there until 2005. So then I was 23. That meant I spent some time at the university, at the music technology and music history. And I also studied literature, which was important for me because I was interested in a lot of things. So when I started there, I spent 2 years there before I really knew that I was going to go for this. And I met one teacher, of course, that meant the world to me. His name is Rune Grammofon. He's not very known. I think the most known guitarist in Norway is, of course, Terje Rypdal with his ECM releases and everything. But Rune Grammofon he's another kind of style, but his playing is exquisite, and especially the way he plays standards was maybe what hit my heart the most. His voicings and his phrasings and his way of thinking of how the music moves when it's played. And I once asked him how he felt when people played, the wrong notes or hit the wrong chord or whatever, something wrong happened. And he said that in those situations that someone plays something so-called wrong, 99% of the time, something musically interesting happens right afterwards. And that kind of changed my view a little bit on some things.
Well, before you studied music, you were also very active in your home with music, through your parents, especially through your father, who worked with also with Jan Garbarek in the 70s. And Jan Garbarek played with Keith Jarrett in this European quartet a lot. Can you tell me how big the influence was of your parents when you look back right now? And can you still feel your home influence artistically also today?
Yes, but I think in a kind of a subtle way, because many people think that when you have grown up in a family where the parents play instruments and then there is a lot of active musical activities. But I think one of the most important things that I took with me from my family, and especially my father, the way that he treated music, which was with so much respect, and also the choices you make around music. He never forced me into it. He was it was very important to him that if I was to choose music, it was to be my choice. Probably because he knew all the it's not necessarily an easy occupation. So he never forced anything on me. And he was very clear that if you are interested in this, I will show you. But he had no intentions of pushing things on me, which maybe made me more curious, I don't know. But he also let me approach the materials in my own kind of tempo. And he always offered himself to play with me. And I found that I wasn't frightened, but I thought it was a situation that made me, I wanted to play really nice, but then when you have kind of high expectations for what you're going to do, you also get a little, I don't know, focused or whatever. So it wasn't an uncomfortable situation, but it wasn't comfortable either. But he never criticized me. Maybe I would have been a better guitar player if he had criticized me, I don't know, but he always said nice things, and I think that was right for me. But he said, like, maybe we should do more like this, or maybe more like this, of course. So I think, and I also was like, he never played music without listening to it. So whenever he put on a record, it was his full attention. He would never put on a record while he was tidying up something in the living room or making dinner, or he always listened to it when he played. And he also, if we were somewhere and they played, you know, background music, he kind of felt bad for the musicians, even though it was on a record, because he thought someone really made an effort to make this, so we should listen to it. But I think that is something that I take with me. But he wasn't into the kind of music that I play today. He was into more mainstream jazz music from the 40s and 50s, cool jazz, and he played the flugelhorn, so he was more into Art Farmer and Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie, Fred Hubbard, those kind of trumpeters. So I don't think there is. Jim Hall was in his record collection, and a lot of fantastic records, but I don't think there were any John McLaughlin records. That was too electric for him, I think. But he's very open-minded now.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's good for me.
Yeah. Can you maybe tell me again what special qualities does your trio have through Ellen and Eva today?
To me, as a colleague, and I think one of the most important things is that we are kind to each other, because then everybody dares to do a little more than if you are not feeling comfortable. So I think one of the strongest sides of the trio is that we are kind to each other, actually. But also, because we give each other room, I think that's very important. And we always, we try to avoid arguing. But that's quite interesting, because when you bring something into, we try to make music together. Everybody are welcome with contributing. And it's important then that we kind of take care of each other through how we accept the musical contributions. Treat it with respect, even though if you think, oh, this is very strange, or how can I make this work? Then really treat it with respect and with interest. And also that what you bring is treated the same way. To us, that is has been important. And also they are very, we have the same mind on practicing. We did it a lot, especially the first years. Now we practice more periodically, so I think that's also one of the strongest things as them as team members, that we have agreed to a way of working. That's the three of us think is working good. Yeah, and as players, Ellen is always there as a bass player. It's never, you kind of never. She always has your back. And also Ivar, because he doesn't just sit there and do his stuff. He does new things all the time, and that's very important to make the music develop. Before we got here, we had this rehearsal at our rehearsal space, and I had no effects. No pedals, which is a kind of an important part of my expression. But when I use it on stage, I use it a lot. But then it was just in the amplifier, no delay or nothing. And that is also important to rehearse that way. To just take everything away and
just the pureness.
Pin it down to the beat and to the space between the beats and to in the front or in the back, and it's an important remember this situation or rehearsal that we must bring with us when we sound like we do on stage or in studio. Or I think it's like what do you call it when you build muscles in the studio? I don't know. It's kind of a more theoretical practice than it's an artistic expression.
Well, the music you play is somehow difficult to describe. At least it has ingredients from the free jazz, 70s heavy rock, psychedelic music, avant-garde, and so on. And in your own description you said once, if I read it good, it's outgoing and progressive instrumental rock. Is there a general message? Nice, you're smiling. Is there a general message existing you want to share? What is your music about? Can you say that?
It's a hard practice to put words to music because you take away some of the magic. But still, it's an important task because we are human beings and we communicate through language. So we should be able to put some words to it that make people get some kind of reference or that they understand a little bit about it. But at the same time, when you talk too much about it, then it kind of could lock a person's ways of experiencing it. But I don't know, of course it's we try to be dynamic even though it's most of the times loud. But most of all it's just should be free and fun, both to play and listen to. And to us that means something with a beat and something without a beat, something pretty and something ugly, but always something honest and but also possible to have fun in. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, That sounds great, actually. I will listen again with this idea and information you gave me. Well, between 2011 and 2019, which is now this year, you recorded 6 albums. 6 albums, and all those albums recorded in a live setting. We'll say, I assume, no overdubs, and so on. One take maybe, and have a result. Is that true?
No, it's more like 20 takes and then a result. The first recordings were very much like that. But I think that was also when the material developed on tour, and then we went into the studio. But then it changed a little bit with the third record, and definitely with the fourth, because then we made a lot of it finish in the studio. We kind of had pre-production, and when we came into the studio, it's definitely a live setting, but not with an audience. But it's always the same take, and we try to fix as little as possible, because the point with the music is not that it's supposed to be perfect, but the energy must be right, and it must be an interesting development in the take. And so we just try to stick with that. Nothing fancy. And also because I think it's important that the thing you listen to, or with our band, the things you can hear on the record should be possible to recreate live. That means if I put on 100 guitars, it will never sound like that live. And that could be a disappointment. I think so when I listen to bands that, I think it's, to me that has been something that I wanted to do, to be able to create things live. So my teacher from the Music Academy, he asked me, why don't you put chords under your solo here? But I can never play those chords live. I need to do this without those chords. So no, as little overdubs as possible, but sometimes we do that.
Is there something you add to the music through the situation you have in the studio?
Yes, it's a little more. The last time we was in studio, which was then the fifth time in the studio, because it's one live record as well. I think that was the first time that we actually relaxed a little bit in the studio, because on the four first we have been very concentrated and it's been very tense to be in the studio. So it's, I don't know, in a way you kind of push the most out of it in the studio, but at the same time you lose something as well, because you're looking for something else in the studio than you are live. So I don't know, I think it's very fun to work in the studio as long as you can play it live afterwards.
When you have the idea to make a recording, I think it's kind of a statement, right? When do you think an album and this statement is finished? Is it after a recording, or after the CD is in the shops, or after people buy it and might listen to them, or is it after they maybe listen to it and they buy tickets and come to your concerts and applaud? When is it finished for you?
We still play songs from our first record live. So in one way we try to never be finished with the music that we make. But still, some of the songs are more flexible than others. But to me, personally, I think it's a very recording song that I know this is what it's going to be like on record after I've mastered it, mixed and mastered it. Then to me it's kind of finished, but it doesn't exist if not anybody listens to it. And it's not successful if people don't attend the live shows. So but to me, to finish the recording in the studio, that's when it's done to me. Kind of for now.
Okay. Well, what is your dream to reach in music? Where do you want to go? Will you write a string quartet maybe, or a symphony, or will you start an orchestra? What is it? Where do you want to go?
I just want to move around here. I'm really comfortable with working with my trio, and that being as kind of a steady train just riding through. And I've been doing some commissioned works lately that have been including other instruments, and that has given me a lot, because I love working with the trio, but it's been really nice to work with other palettes and other kind of sounds from the guitar, actually, because with the trio it's very like powerish and sceneries and raw kind of force-ish, and it's all about the three of us and what's happening there. But it's also very nice to play chords and make music with horns, and not least other melodic and harmonic instruments. So next year I'm going to start some other smaller projects, but also writing for bigger ensembles, and just take one step at a time and see if that becomes good music. I made this music that we are going to record in January next year, called Ihno, for a jazz festival in Norway, with 2 keyboard players, 1 drummer, Torstein Loftus from Elephant 9, and one percussionist and a Portuguese trumpeter, and no bass guitar. And that was also really refreshing for me because when you play with the bass, either double bass or electric bass, together with electric guitar, it's very often the same ways, like doubling or not doubling, and they kind of sound a little bit the same and play the same way because of the way the strings are tuned. So when there is a keyboard playing the bass, it's just sounds different, and you kind of have to think different. So that was very, really refreshing. So I try to seek for other things that are not like the trio, because what we do, we can do, and then I'd love to write things for something that included strings, but that's kind of a next level. I'm hoping to play maybe with a vibraphonist next year, and maybe some singers. I don't know. I just want to move around here and experiment a little.
I think we have to meet again.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
You also played with the Trondheim Jazz Orchestra once, I think.
Twice, actually.
Or twice. Mm. What is your experience with them?
That was a different. Trondheim Jazz Orchestra, they kind of. It's not the same people every time. They are put together through the project leader or the main composer. So the first time I was with Ellen Brekken. So that was a whole different ensemble than it was the second time, which was with Ellen Brekken. But Trondheim Jazz Orchestra is a fantastic structure because there is such a good working system around it. You know, it's kind of all of you in here practice at these times. This is deliver your work with it. So you can decide a lot who is going to be a part of the orchestra. So it's just very professional, and a place where you can meet people that you don't play with regularly.
That's also refreshing.
Extremely, and very good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you in general mind that your music sounds different when you play on different locations, wherever you play and with whom you play, and different audiences and different days and hours?
Absolutely.
Is that a problem for you?
No, I think that's what makes it interesting. And it's never the same. I'm the same, of course, but it's whatever triggers me is different from place to place and who I play with. And of course you try to be yourself in it, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sound the same all the time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, in January you got a nomination for the Spellemann, which is the Norwegian Grammy somehow. Can you tell me what this did with you?
That was actually for the second album, so it was in 2013, so it's a long time ago.
But still.
The best thing about that was we were nominated alongside Motorcycle. That made me so proud.
Okay. Mm. Well, since your beginning in 2009, you are a family with Rune Grammofon, mm-hmm. the recording label. Please describe your relationship, because you're still with them.
Yes.
What is so important for you to be with them all these years? And what do they do for you?
It's not them, it's him. And he knows what we are doing, and he likes it. And that because of that, he treats us with respect and let us work the way we work. And he just puts it, he just helps us with minor things and puts it in a box and supports us a lot. So to us, he is perfect. He understands it and he likes it. I mean, what more can you wish?
It sounds like a perfect relationship.
Yeah,
somehow.
it's been really good for us. Yeah, we have so much freedom in the way we work. He just lets us do it and welcomes the result with honest feedback and constructive feedback. And he's very funny as well. And also he's an Arsenal fan, and so is Ivar. So of course, it's like a unbreakable relationship.
Yeah. Do you also meet other members of the family, like other artists? Do you meet maybe once a year to have a nice party together and drink and eat and share stories, or not?
No, but Norway is very small and Oslo is even smaller. So we share working space with, Bushman's Revenge have we been sharing with Gard Nielsen, and we meet those folks everywhere, and we send messages, and we meet in concerts and have a beer and meet on the street, and I hope that we are, because on Friday we have a day off, and then we will travel to see Motorsako when they play on Friday. So, yeah.
That sounds good.
But it's not like hello everybody in the Rune family, let's gather for a dinner at my place, 3 course. It's not like that.
It's not like that.
No.
Okay.
People have families and
okay.
are on tour.
Well, you tour a lot, and just now you start a new, fresh tour. But in the past you toured already through Europe, to Malaysia, and Japan, and the United States. How is it for you to be on tour?
To us, it's I don't know. It's the pulse of the machinery. We play live music, and that's where the energies start. That's where they really are what they should be, and that's where the risks are taken. That's where it's all on stake. And also we love to travel, see new places, talk about nothing, have discussions about music in the car. So, I don't know. But it shouldn't be too much either. So it's we went further away some years ago, and these days both me and Ivar have little children, so we don't travel that far or that long for these years, but still we are out here doing a minimum of shows.
Yeah, and how reliable is your team on tour? I mean, is it always going good, or?
You mean on the shows, or?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not. I mean, it's probably not audible to all of the audience, but of course we are not machines. And that's what makes it fun, You can't be on top all the time. And one night somebody felt that they did a great job, and the other two just, but we weren't there at all. But the best thing about the best nights are the ones that all the three or all 4 of us, because our sound guy is also quite important. He has an important voice in the discussion on whether it was a good show or not. But we can throw dice on our shows and have 6 different characters on a tour.
Do you have some nice tour story you want to share, maybe? What just happened the last 3 hours, maybe? The
last 3 hours, we have this game that we play in cars when it's very boring, and that is that we count horses. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's quite hard to see the difference on a horse and a cow on a long distance. So when somebody sees something and says it's a horse and it's not a horse, then it's quite fun. So that was what happened the last 3 hours. And we also discussed Black Dog with Led Zeppelin. What they really tried to do there. and we were stopped by the police because they told us we couldn't drive here.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. But are there, you're doing always your best you can do, I think, on stage. But do you have also the idea some concerts are better than the other ones? and how do you deal with that, if it is like that?
It is like that, but what's important to know then is that even though I can go on off stage and think this or this about what we just did, it's not necessarily always the right answer, because there are so many things that kind of color your perceptions. But I think it's you can't do anything else than just try your very, very best when you are there, and just to try to wipe out everything else and just be in the music and respond to what's happening, like audibly, and try to kind of also be in touch with the audience in a way, even though we have no spoken words. So that's, and if it's horrible, then we have to just fix it in a way.
But how do you react on the audience? I mean, do you feel them, and how important are they?
They are very important.
I mean, then they are very important for the whole show, right?
Yes.
In which way do you react with them, or how?
I mean,
how do you work with them?
They came to listen to us. We are privileged that they are there, so we try to take good care of them and give them an experience, and but in a kind of, not in a showish way, but we want them to have a good time and to experience something, whether they like it or not, you know. But we try to reach through to them, but that means that we have to communicate well on stage to be able to do that. And I mean, people can be really, really quiet, and that's kind of could be a little hard, but it just means they are listening very carefully. And at the same time, if people are talking a lot, it means they're having a good time and relaxing, and we can just be a little looser maybe. So it's summer like this and summer like that, and we love them a lot.
How important is silence for you?
I like it. I like it. I mean, I really enjoy silence, even though it's not always totally quiet. But I'm not, I mean, I have 2 little children, so there's a lot of noise until 8 o'clock. And then it's quiet. It's fantastic. But I love the noise as well, you know, and the one wouldn't be great without the other. So, I mean, I like silence when it's there, but I don't miss it. But I like it when it's quiet, but I don't mind when it's noisy as well. So it's, you know, blah, blah, blah.
We have to meet again.
Okay.
I think in your music you also have melodies, right?
I try to.
Parts inside, yeah. Can you please hum for me a little bit of one melody of your music now?
What song would you like to hear?
Something that comes up now. It's all okay.
Yeah. What should we take then? Like this. I don't know.
Where does this come from?
What you mean? What song?
Yeah.
That would be Approaching on the Black Sabbath matter.
Yeah. Well, when you compose, you also compose harmonies and riffs and everything, but also these melodies. Can you tell me where they come from, or how do you find them, or do they find you?
I wish I could. No, I just try to. I don't know. It depends on what we're working on, or what I'm working on. If it's an up-tempo thing, maybe I try to, I don't know, find a catchy rhythm, or but I think I maybe often take it from my head before I take it to the guitar. But sometimes with the chords, it could be the other way around. But the melody. But I also I practice a lot, and then I listen to what I did, and then I kind of take fractures and work on small pieces of longer stretches.
So you recorded what you do.
Yes. So I work over time with most of the things. Some things I spend a lot of time making, and some things are made in a day. I think it's like this for everyone.
Your life is just something like you're just directed, you are just focused on making music. You travel a lot, you are busy with traveling, but then you come on stage. Is there a special moment just before you start playing, just before you really touch the guitar to start with something? How is that?
Those seconds are quite fantastic because nothing has yet gone wrong, and it's a lot of anticipation in those seconds. I don't know what to say about them. I like them.
And then when you play, when you perform, are you then inside the music, or are you just watching it? How is the situation for you?
We try to be inside of it.
You try?
Yes,
yeah.
Try to be inside of it, and most of the time we are, of course. But you can be pulled out of it, but it's important to try to be in there. Whatever you do, be in there. Don't think about other things or look at other things or be distracted. Yes, inside it.
Yeah. And do you have an advice for young guitar players, especially the female ones? What to do to reach that what you reached?
I think it's important to be honest with yourself on or not be honest, but really to try and find a place where you feel you belong. I think that would be music calling. Hello.
Sorry. The sound check.
I think I have to go because it's almost 6.
Okay, then I thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
To be honest with me
yeah.
and everyone. And very good luck. Wish you a good
much.
show, and very good luck for all projects that will come and anything.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.